Stephen Gulliver, and I'm an Associate Professor at the University of Reading. In my job I do many roles. I do teaching and preparing of seminar material, I prepare exams and coursework, I do the marking and feeding back to students. I also supervise and support our staff overseas, because some of my material is taught overseas, trying to tell them how to deliver my material and then how to moderate that to make sure that the quality is the same as the UK. In my research, I'm doing an area called pervasive informatics, which is how to use information that's all around us to solve business and society problems. And during the last 15 years, I collaborated with people around the world and produced about 80 international papers trying to deal some of those problems and trying to address some of those issues. I do supervision of PhD students, and I'm currently primary supervisor of 7. I also supervise about 15 MSc students a year, trying to understand what the different projects are, trying to get them to do it in a sort of 4 or 5 month period, which is quite intensive. As well as doing those roles, I'm a PGR director, so I'm trying to understand and guide about 30 to 40 PhD students through the life cycle of doing a PhD and trying to support them through that process. I'm also the DDAT, which is the Director of Academic Tutoring, so I'm trying to support the welfare of about 70 MSc students dealing with what's called extenuating circumstances, so things that's beyond their control. If something happens to them, we try to make sure that the degree that they get at the end isn't as a result of their circumstances, it's as a result of their talent. In addition to all these things, I'm also external examiner at Brunel University. I am editor and reviewer on a number of academic journals. I'm also a part-time student because I'm doing learning. I'm also director of a consulting firm which I've set up. With all these things, sometimes the thing that I find hardest to do is to create time. I think Michael Williams challenged the church about creating time, and I do that on a daily basis by walking to work. I use the time when I'm walking to work to actually break down my thoughts for the day, to pray about things, to actually think how I'm going to respond to things. I also do my Bible in a year. Nikki Gumbel and David Suchet read to me every morning, which is nice, and then I can think through, pray and put on praise and worship as well, and that gets me in the right mind, so when I'm at work I'm ready. And then at the end of the day I can pack that away, put all the buzzes and all the things back in the box, so that when I get home I can be an effective husband and father. I think it's very tempting to, in the job where constantly I get hundreds of emails and pings and people knocking on my door, to prioritise those people who are going to help my progression, my promotion. But realistically, I'd be doing that at the detriment of those other people who aren't good for me, who need help, who need care, but are realistically aren't going to help me. But realistically, as a Christian, I have to be different. I have to love those people because Christ loved me. I have to show them fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, and a lot of patience and kindness and self-control, because realistically those things are showing God. They are representing God in the workplace. And I have to come next to people who are suffering, who are having problems, extenuating circumstances, who are in depression or anxiety, because that's where Jesus would be. These are the people that Jesus would spend time with. I think lots of the people that I'm dealing with are students from overseas, and they've never heard the gospel, they've never had the opportunity, yet they come to my office and they sit there on a weekly basis, and it's my privilege to then break down and understand why they're thinking the way that they think, and understand their beliefs and their biases. And in that I can actually talk about my beliefs and my biases and the logic that is behind those beliefs and those biases, and I can challenge them. I'm not probably very good at talking to people. Sometimes I'm dyslexic. I sometimes find it hard to know the right words. But hopefully through the actions, through the time, trying to actually invest in those people, I can be salt and light at the University of Reading.